When did you have to prove your innocence to the law? I was 19 working the night shift at White Castle when two cops walked in and asked for me by name. My manager Jeremiah was standing behind them with his arms crossed, looking smug like he'd just won the lottery. The bigger cop pulled out a notepad and told me $530 was missing from my register from the previous night. My stomach dropped because I knew I hadn't taken anything. I'd been working there for 2 years without a single write-up and always counted my drawer perfectly. The cops said they had security footage of me closing alone and that Jeremiah had discovered the shortage during his morning count. They wanted me to come to the station for questioning. I asked to see the security footage right there in the restaurant. Jeremiah's face twitched, but he couldn't really say no with the cops standing there. We all crowded into the tiny office where the ancient computer stored the camera files. Jeremiah kept wiping sweat off his forehead, even though the air conditioning was blasting. He typed in the wrong password 3 times before getting it right. The footage showed me counting my drawer at closing time just like always. I went through every bill twice and wrote down the total on the slip. Then I put everything in the deposit bag and locked it in the safe. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. when I finished. Nothing looked suspicious because nothing suspicious had happened. I'd done the same routine hundreds of times, but Jeremiah pointed at the screen and said the problem happened after the cameras mysteriously stopped recording at midnight. He claimed I must have come back and taken money before actually leaving. The cops looked skeptical but wrote it down anyway. I noticed Jeremiah's hands were shaking as he clicked through the files trying to find more footage. That's when I remembered something important. I'd forgotten my phone charger that night and had to come back to get it. My car's dash cam would have recorded me leaving the first time and coming back. I told the cops about it and asked if we could check my car. Jeremiah suddenly needed to use the bathroom and basically ran out of the office. We walked outside to my beat-up Honda and I pulled up the dash cam footage on my phone. It clearly showed me leaving at 11:52 p.m., then coming back at 11:58 p.m. I was inside for maybe 30 seconds, grabbing my charger, then left again. The timestamp perfectly matched what I was saying. But here's the interesting part. The camera also caught Jeremiah's truck pulling into the parking lot at 12:15 a.m. The cops asked Jeremiah why he was there after midnight when he wasn't scheduled. He started stuttering about forgetting something in his office, but couldn't say what. His story kept changing from paperwork to his wallet to checking on something. Sweat was pouring down his face now, and he kept scratching at his arms like he had bugs under his skin. I mentioned that Jeremiah had been acting weird lately, coming in late and leaving early. Always broke even though managers made decent money. He'd lost a ton of weight and his teeth looked terrible. Some employees joked that he was on something, but I never thought he'd steal from the register. The scratching and sweating suddenly made a lot more sense. The cops decided to check Jeremiah's office while we were all there. He tried to say they needed a warrant, but they reminded him he'd called them there in the first place. In his desk drawer, they found a small glass pipe and several empty baggies with white residue. Jeremiah's whole body was shaking now, and he kept saying he could explain. Then they found the deposit bag stuffed behind the filing cabinet. It still had Monday night's date on it, but most of the cash was gone. Only about $50 in 1s and 5s were left. Jeremiah broke down and admitted he'd taken the money to pay his dealer. He'd been using meth for 6 months and owed dangerous people money. He figured he could blame it on me since I closed alone. The cops arrested Jeremiah right there in his office. He kept apologizing and saying he never meant for it to go this far. He just needed quick cash and thought corporate would write it off as a small loss. When that didn't work, he panicked and called the police, hoping I'd confess to something I didn't do. He'd even deleted the midnight footage to make his story work. I had to give a full statement at the station, but the cops apologized for the confusion. The district manager showed up and offered me Jeremiah's job, but I turned it down. I didn't want to be a manager at a place that almost let me get arrested for something I didn't do. They gave me a small raise to stay as crew, which I accepted while looking for better work. The whole experience taught me to always cover myself with evidence. If I hadn't remembered that dash cam footage, I might have been in serious trouble. Jeremiah got 18 months in jail and had to pay restitution. I heard he got clean in prison, but I never saw him again.